YouTube? It's the Fantasy Professor here, back again with a brand new video. As you can see here, it's November 7th, and what time is it? It's like 12:30 right now, but here are the over-unders and the projections at this time. Everything's laid out here, as you can see. To recap from last night, a few guys that I mentioned. Devin Booker, he went off ballistic on the Lakers, 53.25 fantasy points, so if you had him in your lineups, you probably won some money last night. Harrison Barnes, what happened? How many times did I repeat him over and over and over again? Went off 51.5 fantasy points. He dropped 34 points on the Bucks, and I told you guys he's going to justify his value. Just give him some time, and his production will be there as well. Isaiah Thomas, 39.25 fantasy points. Even though it was a losing effort to the Nuggets, he still overproduced his value. Emmanuel Mudiay was another guy you could have considered last night. I mean, I don't know what happened with him. He just exploded. He had 24 points in the first quarter, which is insane. I thought he was on track to beat Kobe Bryant's 81-point game or whatever. But they didn't really play him their whole game. Jameer Nelson played the rest. He played 36 minutes in that game. So if you had him, the minutes were there for him to give you that production. But you never know what he's going to bring to the table every single night because he's coming off the bench as well. J.J. Barea, 37 fantasy points. Without Darren Williams there, he was the starting point guard. Seth Curry backing him up. Like I said, he was going to produce and drop 37 fantasy points. So if you had him, good pickup last night. T.J. Warren, 38.5 fantasy points. He is just a monster. He's their go-to scorer on the Phoenix Suns. I don't know. Did they win a game? Oh, yeah, they did because Eric Bledsoe had that buzzer beater. But besides that, I don't think they won any other games. But he's in a great spot, and he's their go-to guy. So if you want to pick up a guy who's very consistent right now, T.J. Warren's your guy. I don't think P.J. Tucker's ever going to get that starting small forward back, which is going to open up more time for Warren to start and do his thing. He's become very, very, very good, and he's the leading candidate for most improved player. Julius Randle, 31.75 fantasy points. I watched that whole game. He just tore up the Phoenix defense. And he was getting into a little fight with Tyson Chandler, and they almost went to blows. And I don't know, they were one-on-one, and Julius was at the top of the key, and Tyson Chandler was down low, and that was after they were fighting, and the whole crowd started cheering. And out of nowhere, Randall just flicks it past to Clarkson. Clarkson wets a three, and they're up 10. So he's becoming a lot more of a team player. If you saw last year's games, he would just isolate and take it all himself. So he's become non-selfish, and he's sharing the ball with his teammates, which is very good. A few guys that I did not have in my I mentioned, but I didn't make any lineups for that certain time. C.J. McCollum, I know he dropped 37 actual points. I don't know the fantasy point count because I didn't have any lineups at that time. Marcus Sol, I think he dropped 21 points, a few rebounds. I think he got you 30-something fantasy points. So if you had him, good job. Mentioned him in my lineups. All right, let's get into today's games. As you can see, the first game of the night is Indiana and Charlotte. 209 over under. A few guys that liked in this game. Paul George, 7,900. He hasn't really had that breakout game yet, but I feel down the line, within the next few games, he's going to have it. He's going to get you that 50 fantasy point total with the upside of 60 sometimes. Another few guys I like, Nic Batum, 6,500. He's very consistent. As you guys know, I talk about consistency a lot. Avery Bradley is the most consistent player by far. What happened last game? He had 38 fantasy points in that game against the Nuggets yesterday. So I like Nic Batum's spot a lot. He's been playing. He hasn't played under 30 minutes. He's played 31 minutes and above. So especially at home against Indiana, going up against Monte Ellis and whoever their backup is, he's going to get you that 30 to 35 fantasy point range tonight. Also, another guy I like from Charlotte's side is Kemba Walker, 7,400 going up against Jeff Teague, who's a mediocre defender. As we know, Kemba Walker likes to smoke opposing point guards that don't play any defense. So he's a good look for tonight. All right, let's done with that game. All right, the highest over-under of the night, Houston and Washington, 224 over-under. A few guys I like in this game, James Harden, 11.7K, especially going up against John Wall. Now, I don't know how his knees are, especially coming off an injury. He had those double knee surgeries over the summer, so he's not 100% right now, but you never know. He might shut down Harden, he might not. But Harden's doing it all for this team. He's carrying this team. And, they struggled against the Hawks the other game. But I feel like this is a nice bounce-back spot, and I feel like they're going to win this game against the Wizards. With that being said, there's a revenge game. If you like revenge game narratives, I wanted to add this into here. Nene, 3,600. I feel like he's healthy now. I feel like he's going to come out ready to play, and he's going up against his former squad. Now, I don't know how long he's going to play, but just like that Dwight Howard game, I feel like Nene is going to, exceed his minutes that he would usually get. I feel like he's going to put up a good stat line. At 3,700, he's a great price, so if you wanted to punt, that's a great option to punt at center. On the flip side, you get John Wall, 8,800, going up against James Harden's awful defense. As we know, James Harden is one of the worst defenders in the league, which opens up John Wall to do a lot of his thing. 8,800, I like that price a lot, as opposed to James Harden's 11.2K, which eats up 20% of your salary cap right off the bat. Another guy like Markieff Morris, 5,900. The coach has been saying that he's been trying to feed Markieff the ball more. He's trying to get him shots, and Markieff's trying to work on his all-around game. The only thing that I have a problem with is his minutes. So if his minutes are consistently locked in, 5,900 is no doubt a great price for Markieff. Going up against Ryan Anderson, who's the worst power forward defender of all time, in my opinion. He just stands there, like I said, on the three-point line, and he doesn't care about defending at all. Another spot I like on the Wizards side, Bradley Beal, 5,600, going up against Eric Gordon's non-existent defense. So if you wanted to go, mid-range at shooting guard, Bradley Beal is definitely a good place to go. All right, third game on the night, you got Miami and OKC, 201 over/under. A few guys I like in this game: Goran Dragic, 7,000, Justice Winslow, 5,600, and Hassan Whiteside, 8,600. I like Dragic, especially against Russell Westbrook. He's not going to be playing defense. He just, I feel like he's still mad from that Golden State game. So I feel like he's going to give it his all, and he's going to show up and dominate. But I do like Goran Dragic, especially with that Dragic-Whiteside pairing. I've been doing that in every Heat game, and I've won almost every single lineup by doing that. They both go off to each other. Dragic's usually throwing the lob to Whiteside with that quick inside pass. So if you're one of those that like the tandems, Dragic-Whiteside is a great tandem. Winslow's carrying that team offensively, 5,600. He's one of their leading scorers. So he's doing it all. He came into the league as a defensive-minded player, but at 5,600, he's now scoring. He's getting steals, rebounds, running the floor in transition. So he's doing it all. He's playing like a backup point guard spot, but he's really a small forward, kind of, in a way, because he does run the floor. He gets the rebound and he runs the floor and passes. He's very, very good, and in a few years he'll be extremely good. That's my prediction. On the flip side, Sabonis, 3,600. We saw what he did to the Golden State Warriors when they faced him. He almost had 30 fantasy points in that game, and at 3,600, going up against the Golden State Warriors, when he was cheaper, he was like 33. He put up a very, very nice stat line. So he's definitely a guy to consider for tonight, especially going up against the likes of James Johnson, Derek Williams, and other shitty Miami power forwards. The two other guys I like from OKC's side, Victor Oladipo, 5,900, going up against Dion Waiters' non-existent defense, and Tyler Johnson as well. Victor Oladipo needs a bounce-back game immediately, and at 5,900, he might get you those minutes and exceed his value. Let's say Westbrook isn't doing his best, Oladipo's their second leading scorer to lean on, so that's why I like him in this spot. Speaking of Westbrook, 12,200, the highest salary on the night. If you want to do Westbrook Harden, that's what I did for one lineup. I actually got creative and I did Westbrook, Harden, and Durant in a lineup, and then you punt all the other spots. But you can see what you can do with that salary. It's going to eat up a lot of your salary cap, but if you want him, you got to pay up for him, and that's the reality of it. Fourth game on the night, you got Orlando and Chicago, 205 over/under. A few guys I like in this game. Elfrid Payton, 6,100. Serge Ibaka, 5,500. Payton going up against Rondo, who's not the best of defenders, as we know. Rondo's 30 years old, and I feel like he's washed up on defense. he's just focusing on getting those assists, and he likes to get those assists, and he sometimes rarely scores. So yeah, 6,100. I feel like he's like a mirror image, a younger image of Rajon Rondo. Payton's actually been doing pretty well this year. So if you like a guy that's going to give you some points and contribute in all aspects of the game with his defense and offensive versatility, he's going to get you a solid 20 point fantasy point floor with upside of 40 fantasy points, especially in tonight's matchup. Serge Ibaka, 5,500. Not a lot of people have been on him. I don't know what's going on with the forwards and centers and whatever, but if they go small ball, they can use Ibaka at the center position. So I like him a lot in this spot. On the flip side, you get Jimmy Butler, 7,200. I don't know who's going to stop Jimmy Butler on Orlando's side, but I feel like he's going to do very well in this spot. And he definitely exceed that 7,200 value. Rajon Rondo, 6,100, going up against Elfrid Payton. Rondo's at home tonight. He didn't have that strong of a game last game against Indiana, but I feel like this is a good bounce back spot. If he was going to do something, it'd be tonight. And we've seen with Rondo when he wakes up for these games, especially when he faced the Celtics, and he just crushed them. So I feel like this is a great spot for him. Fifth game on the slate, Detroit and the Los Angeles Clippers, 198 over under. If you guys are liking this game, KCP, 5,200. He's that all-around player. Like I've said before in the past, I had him when he was in that 4,000 range, and I'd have him every single night, and he hasn't burned me yet. So I know he burned some people earlier in the season, but going up against J.J. Redick, I feel like he's in a great spot tonight. Andre Drummond, 8,100. We saw what happened last time with Marc Gasol versus DeAndre Jordan. Gasol went off, so did DeAndre, but that's not the point. Andre Drummond is motivated. If you saw that Brooklyn game, Brook Lopez smoked Andre Drummond, and as we know, Brook Lopez is one of the slowest guys in the league. So that's pretty upsetting, and that's pretty sad. But I like Andre Drummond's spot tonight. I feel like he has that 20-20 upside, the 20 points, 20 rebounds, but you never know, especially going up against DeAndre Jordan. You never know what you're going to get out of him. Another guy I like, Tobias Harris, 6,300. The Clippers don't have any small forwards. Going up against Luka Mbah-a-Moute, Austin Rivers, a small forward. Tobias Harris is in a great spot. Also, if you want to consider Marcus Morris. Now, I don't know if he's going to be paired on Blake. If he's paired on Blake, I don't think he's going to do as well. But Tobias Harris is going to be wide open at the three-point line, and he's going to give you that all-around contribution. On the flip side, the Los Angeles Clippers side, you got Blake Griffin, 8,000, and Chris Paul, 8,500. The big two, I like the most. I don't really like DeAndre Jordan's matchup, especially going up against Andre Drummond, but Andre Drummond has that offensive game. DeAndre just gets lobs and putbacks, but Drummond can create for himself, and he puts the ball on the floor. So that's why I like him a little more than DeAndre tonight. Blake Griffin at 8,000, going up against Marcus Morris. Now, I don't really watch Pistons games. From a fantasy standpoint, I feel like Blake Griffin's going to equal his value or exceed it tonight, especially at that 8,000 price range. They play him 30 plus minutes every single night, so he gives you that good production, and he's pretty safe. So if you like that safety rating, by all means use him. Chris Paul, 8,500, going up against Ish Smith, who's not the best defender. Chris Paul hasn't he is very, very consistent at the point guard position, so if you like consistency, he's a guy to go tonight, and I feel like he's going to have that 40 fantasy point game that we've all been waiting for. Austin Rivers is another guy if you wanted to punt. 3,300 going up against Stanley Johnson on the backup position, but he also might play backup point guard, so you never know. Raymond Felton is another guy from the Clippers side that you might consider. All right, the last two games of the night, you got Utah Jazz, Philadelphia 76ers, 192 over under. If you guys are liking this game, George Hill, 6,500, going up against Sergio Rodriguez. Now, if this game turns into a blowout, you can turn to guys like Shelvin Mack and, what's his name, Dante Exum. But I don't know. I feel like Philadelphia, after they made it so close with Cleveland, I feel like they're going to keep it relatively close. As you can see with that very, very low over-under, Utah's defense is going to hold Philadelphia down. And I feel like Philadelphia is going to come out gunning And yeah, so that's why I like George Hill, especially going up against Rodriguez. Rodriguez just started starting at the point guard position, but he's in a great spot tonight. Gordon Hayward as well, 6,700. As we saw versus the Knicks last night, he dropped 28 points and a few other intangibles. I didn't have him in my lineup, so I don't know his exact fantasy count. But at 6,700, he's going to get you a lot of production. And this is a great game for the Utah Jazz to get him going. If you want to use Derek Favors as well, because they're both coming off an injury. So I think this is a great game for them to play excess minutes because they're going up against horrible competition. But you never know. It could stay close. Sorry, bro. Why does my voice keep cracking? What the fuck? Rudy Gobert, 6,900, going up against Joel Embiid. Now, Joel Embiid has the highest usage rate in the NBA currently. I feel like Embiid's going to come out and he's going to try to prove Gobert that he's like one of the best up-and-coming centers and not Gobert, which could be a good or bad thing for Joel Embiid. This could be the game that Joel Embiid finally puts up a shitty stat line, or he's going to go off against Rudy Gobert. Either or, his minutes are locked and loaded. He's obviously Philadelphia's best young player right now, as opposed to Ben Simmons, who's not actually playing. So if he was actually playing, I feel like they would be 10 times better, but fortunately that's not the case. So Rudy Gobert, 6,900. We saw that poster that he did to Kristaps Porzingis. That was pretty cool last game. But Rudy Gobert is a French all-star talent, and I feel like he's going to justify that tonight. I feel like he's going to give you that 40 fantasy point floor with that 50, 60 fantasy point upside. That's my prediction for tonight. He's going to give you a lot of blocks, dunks, and a few other intangibles. Free throws, he's been working on his free throws all summer long. He's a great guy to pick up.
Oh, it's just you.
Yeah, it's just me.
Right here.
Go away. I'm recording something. You stop it. Sorry, I got interrupted. Trey Lyles, 3,400. He's at a great price. If it turns into a blowout, they could use Trey Lyles. What's it called? They can use Trey Lyles. Damn, those girls mess me up. Fuck. They can use Trey Lyles going up against the bench of Jahlil Okafor, who plays no defense. And let's say Derek Favors' knee is hurting him. This is a great spot for him to rest and give Trey Lyles the minutes. A few guys I like on Philadelphia's side. Robert Covington, 4,200. We saw what he can do against LeBron James, even with LeBron James guarding him. Covington was a 6K player last year, so I like his fantasy upside every single night that he plays. I don't know how Gordon Hayward is defensively coming off that injury, but it was an injury to his hand, so I don't think that's going to hinder his defensive ability and to space the floor. But Covington is another guy to look out for. Last year, he was Philadelphia's #1 scoring option on that 10-win team. But at 4,200, he's at a great price. So definitely take him into consideration. Another guy on Philadelphia's side is Joel Embiid, 5,700. Going up against Rudy Gobert. Now, I don't know how he's going to do in that situation, but we'll see what happens. All right, the last game of the night, you got New Orleans Golden State Warriors. There's a lot of guys I like both sides. Starting off with Solomon Hill, 3,800. They just lost Lance Stevenson, and that's another playmaker. They're going to sign Archie Goodwin, but I don't think he's going to play in this game. With that being said, Solomon Hill, they gave him that $60 million contract or something like that this summer. But at 3,800, he's going to get you those minutes, and I feel like he plays 30 to 35 minutes tonight with that high upside fantasy-wise. So he definitely is in a great spot to exceed his value. I just don't like him starting off against Kevin Durant if he's starting. But 3,800, he's going to get you a lot of minutes. So you never know, especially if they shut down Anthony Davis. And there's a reason why I didn't pick him up tonight. I'll tell you why. Langston Galloway, 3,000. Again, they just lost Lance Stevenson, their top playmaker on that Pelican squad. So I like Langston Galloway's 3,000 price tag. He's your punt play of the night. I don't see any other 3,000 salary players on the slate that intrigue me as much as Langston Galloway. So if you want to use that cheap punt, go ahead, put him into your lineups. I have him in a few of my lineups, and I'll tell you my lineups at the end of the video. What you guys should do when I'm done with the video, I put my lineups at the in the description. So all my lineups that I make, my optimal lineup of the night, I put it in the description for you guys to use and do whatever, play around with it, mix it up. But that's my view. That's what I think will be a winning lineup of the night. So with that being said, let's get back to some of the picks that I like. Terrence Jones, 4,700. He dropped a 46 fantasy point game in his last game. I don't know if he's going to replicate that again, but I like his high upside much more than Anthony Davis, and paying up for Anthony Davis like ridiculous, I don't know, like 11,000 salary. I don't really like Anthony Davis. I feel like the Warriors are gonna have Kevin Durant and Draymond Green double team him, which is gonna be a nightmare for him, and I don't think he's gonna do that good. Now you can also use Tim Frazier in the spot, but I don't know. He's a 6,600 player now, so his price is steadily climbing up. I really don't feel like he's that good of a player in the NBA. They're just using him because they don't have Drew Holiday at this time, because he's, as we know, he's with his wife and he's caring, which is the right thing to do. And it's always family first, so there's nothing wrong with that. On the flip side, you got what is that? Oh, what did I say? Oh, Thompson, 6,200, going up against the likes of Buddy Hield, Langston Galloway, Etuan Moore. Thompson needs that breakout performance, and this is a great spot for him to do it tonight. Kevin Durant, 9,900, going up against Solomon Hill. Again, there's no defense on this Pelicans squad, so if you feel like they're going to come out running, and I feel like they will because they just lost to the Lakers horribly. They just lost by like 20 points to the Los Angeles Lakers. So I feel like they're going to come out gunning tonight, and they're going to show their league why they're the best team in the league. 9,900 is a great price. Stephen Curry, 8,700. He went 0 for 10 on threes last game. So I feel like he's going to follow that up with making 8 or 9 3-pointers tonight. That's my prediction. I feel like he's going to find the bucket. Tim Frazier's a so-so defender, but he's not going to stop Stephen Curry, as we know. We've seen superstars trying to pass to stop him, and nothing stops him. So he's a great play tonight. Draymond Green, 7,800, going up against Anthony Davis. I went back and I looked at some logs. I don't really like that matchup for him, but if they have Kevin Durant on Anthony Davis, it might make life a lot easier. And if they switch Draymond onto Solomon Hill, it'll make things easier in the long term. But what I did for one of my lineups, and I stacked all 4 of these guys, because I feel like all 4 of these guys could give you 50 fantasy point performances each individually. So I like where they stand tonight. So, all right, guys, that wraps up my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you guys later. And my lineup will be in the description, so look down below.